Hey everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review, and today we're taking a look at the new Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch Greedo figure. This is a figure in the second wave of this series, which is actually not due to hit shelves until next month, November. But fortunately, Hasbro was gracious enough to provide us with a review sample this past weekend at the New York Comic Convention. So we're going to take a closer look at it for you and see if it's worth adding to your collection. Starting off, we'll take a look at the packaging. It's the same basic black packaging that we've seen in the first wave of the series. You've got the window box in the front that shows the figure off nicely. Allows you to take a good look at the figure, to look it over for any kind of flaws or anything like that before you purchase it. There's a little thumbnail picture of the character up in the upper right corner, and then the Star Wars Black Series logo on the left corner. And then down below we got the name of the figure along with the number. This is figure number 7 in the series. Then we'll turn it around here and take a look at the back. The back of the packaging shows another picture of the character and has a little bio type caption. In this particular case it says, "The bounty hunter Greedo attempts to capture Han Solo in the Mos Eisley Cantina and meets with an unfortunate end. I've been looking forward to this for a long time," says Greedo. Overall, as I've said in previous reviews of the Black Series, I love the figures, but I'm not a huge fan of the packaging. It's, in my opinion, basically very boring, and when you compare it to like the vintage packaging, it doesn't stand out very well. You have the orange border lighting in the back, which kind of stands out a little bit, but more than once I've walked down the toy aisle and had to really kind of look to try and find these sitting on the shelves. Again, as I mentioned before, the window packaging is nice, that it does allow you to get a good look at the figure before you open it or purchase it. But other than that, I'm just not a big fan of this packaging. But the figures are great, and so let's get this open. Okay, so here we have a look at the figure out of the packaging. Not a lot of accessories with this figure. In fact, the only accessory it comes with is Greedo's blaster, which is done in a metallic metal color with some nice shading on it. There's a lot of detail here on the weapon. And then, I guess, as another accessory, he does come with the gun belt. It comes attached on the figure, but it is removable. And it looks very similar to the gun belt that you see Han Solo wear. And then, I guess, as one more accessory, he has the removable vest, which is pretty easy to take off. You just pull it off like that. And then you can have him wearing no vest at all if that's how you prefer the figure to look. The paint job on this figure is very nice. I don't know if you can tell on the camera here, but they did a really nice job with shading. His pants are actually dirty. Being in the desert of Tatooine, it's easy, for your clothes to get dirty. And they've actually captured that very nicely with this paint job. And very impressed with that. See, even here on his backside, you can see the shading that makes it look like dirt. So it's not just the green color, but there's a lot of dirt here mixed in, which is really nice. And then his head is a darker type green, and he's got the shiny metallic eyeballs, which are very cool and stand out. A lot of detailing on the sculpt here on the head, with the little spongy type tentacles and bumps on his head. Very nice. And even down here on like his nose area, it's almost like a skin texture like you would see with a reptile or fish. So that's very nice. A lot of detailing here, which is what you've come to expect from the Black Series. His vest here is just a rubber material. There's not a lot of shading on the vest, though. Again, like with the rest of his clothes, you can see some dirt. They have done some shading with the dirt and stuff. So, all very nice paint and detail there. And the vest doesn't hinder his articulation either. So he still, even with the vest on, gets a wide range of movement. And we'll go over the articulation here in just a moment. And we'll put his gun belt back on here. Unfortunately, I don't yet have the Han Solo figure here, so I can't do a comparison of those two. And the gun, we see some dirt smudges here on the holster, which is nice. And then the gun fits snugly in the holster, so you don't have to worry about it falling out. And he'll hold the gun in his right hand. The hand is sculpted in a way so he holds the gun in the right hand nicely. He can't, however, hold the gun in his left hand. Okay, so let's take a look at the articulation on this figure. We'll start with the head. The head sits on a ball hinge joint. And even though it does have the hinge to move up and down, the way the head is sculpted and sits on the peg or on the ball, it really does not allow to have a lot of up and down movement. He's got a little, you can get a little bit of side to side, but he can't really look up at all, and he can only look down a little bit. But he can turn his head left and right, no problem. As I mentioned before, because the vest is a soft rubber material, it doesn't hinder his arm movements at all. You've got the shoulder hinge joint, allows a wide range of movement. You do have the joint is a different color on the underside. It's the yellow color, so looks a little bit off if he's lifting his arm up in a way where that hinge joint shows. I don't know why they didn't paint that green, but otherwise it looks pretty good. And then he's got the single hinged elbow swivels, and he's got the hinge on the wrist that allows it to move up and down, and the wrist also, or the hands also swivel. Same on the other hand, same joint. And then he's got the ab crunch joint that allows him to move down a little bit, bend over a little bit, and can swivel. Doesn't have much movement to move back. And he's got the way the legs are sculpted. He can only do partial splits, and if you try to put his leg backwards, it tends to move outwards, because the way the leg sits in there with the butt. And he's got a double hinged knee joint, and he's got the hinge ankle pivot. So overall, he's got a good range of motion. Nothing really to complain about. Like I said, the only kind of flaw I could really say is with the way they painted the hinge on his shoulders, the under hinge. The outer hinge is fine because obviously it matches the outer sleeve. It's only the inside. I guess they had to paint the hinge all one color, so they went with what looks best on the outside, which is understandable. So now let's take a look at scale comparison. He's a little bit taller than Luke Skywalker, the X-Wing Luke in Wave 1, which he should be, because we all know Luke's a little bit short to be a stormtrooper. And then just her size, here is with R2-D2, who comes up just about to his waist, maybe a little bit shorter. And then he's about exactly the same size as his fellow bounty hunter Boba Fett, which is good. In fact, Boba Fett's probably a little bit taller unless you count Greedo's ears that, you know, stick up tentacles or whatever they are on his top of his head. You know, with those, he's about the same size. And here he is next to the Carbonite Han Solo. If only he could have gotten Solo in the Carbonite, he might still be alive today. And then just one more. Here he is next to his 3 1/4 inch counterpart. That's assuming I can get Greedo to stand up. Very similar looks overall between the two. The 3 1/4 inch has a darker green color on the jumpsuit, and doesn't have quite the detailing with the dirt on the suit. But otherwise they look very similar. The 3 1/4 inch comes with a soft goods vest, whereas the 6-inch one has the rubber material. So there you have it. Overall, a very nice figure. These should be out on shelves next month in November. Distribution on the first wave has been good, and hopefully that'll continue, knock on wood, for the second series. So that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, I'll catch you later.